Okay. Mm. Change. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening from where you're joining us from. Welcome to our webinar, Community-Led Solutions for Coexistence by Ewaso Lions. My name is Victoria Wanjohi from the Tony Wild Foundation, and I'll be your moderator for the day. Before we dive in a few housekeeping rules, please use the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your screen, probably on the bottom right, to share any questions you have while the panelists share their work. And then we will begin with a short presentation from each of our panelists, followed by a moderated discussions from your questions and a Q&A. And our panelists for today are Shivani, please wave. I don't know if you can see from your end. Shivani, Jeneria, Toby, who are the three directors of Ewaso Lions. Once again, thank you for being here with us, and let's get started. Over to you, Shivani. Give me a second. I put you on the spotlight. Yes. Over to you, Shivani.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to all of you. Victoria, if you can hear me, just put a thumbs up so I know everyone can hear us okay. We are so excited to have all of you here today. What an amazing, diverse group is here listening to us here in Samburu. We have some amazing partners who we know have signed up and are on this webinar today. We have some new people to Ewaso Lions, which is really exciting. Thank you so much for being here. We also have some friends and supporters of Ewaso Lions who have been with us on this Ewaso Lions journey right from the beginning. So it's just amazing to have all of you here together. To those of you who know us really well, bear with me for a few minutes as I talk about the origins of Ewaso lions, because I feel that's really important to set the scene of just how far we've come in the last 15 years. You will get something out of it, because I know you can never ever get tired of seeing photos of 19-year-old Jeneria. I snuck his photo in today. He's not very happy with me, but you can never get tired of that photo of how he started his work with Ewaso lions. The name Ewaso lions comes from this amazing river, the Ewaso River, which is right here in front of us right now. As the sun is setting, this is pretty much the view we can see right now from our camp. We're located up in northern Kenya in the Samburu County, and we also work in the Isiolo County, which is just south of the river. We started really small. This picture makes me really think about how far we've come in the last 15 years. This little car was everything to me. It was my office, my bedroom, my kitchen. It was everything. And I would drive around looking for lions and setting up camp wherever I could. And then about a year later, after Ewaso Lions started in 2007, these three amazing people joined us. On the left is Jeremiah. Right in the middle is 19-year-old Jeneria, and on the right is Francis. And it's just been such an extraordinary journey to have started with these three amazing men and to see how far we've come. We started with such a small team, covering a huge area. We started off covering about 400 square kilometers. Now we're covering about 4,500 square kilometers, which is about 2,000 square miles. We work in northern Kenya across an unfenced landscape. We work in 3 protected areas, the National Reserve, Samburu, Buffalo Springs, and Shaba, and 11 community conservancies around those protected areas. This is land where people, livestock, and wildlife are all living together. It's truly a spectacular landscape. We started in a very small camp. This was a camp that we have such great memories about. We borrowed tents from people. We set up this little camp for 3 weeks, and we actually ended up staying here for 7 years until everything fell apart on us. But this was our home where we were exploring and discovering this amazing region. And most importantly, I was getting to learn about Jeneria, Jeremiah, and Francis's home. This is our little camp in the Westgate Conservancy. A few years after we started, things changed and the team grew. We suddenly grew from a little team of 4 to a team of 10, and then it became 15. And as I mentioned, the camp fell apart and it was time to build a permanent camp. And we are so delighted now to call this our home. This is exactly where we are speaking to you from today. This is the Ewaso Lions Camp sitting on top of a hill in Westgate Conservancy. But why lions? And why are we here?
Why lions? Is it because of the love we all as a Ewaso Lions team have for the lions? Or is it because of the majestic nature of lions that is revered all over the world? It's not just that. Imagine in Africa, the entire of Africa, there has been reduction between 80 to 90% in the historical range of lions. Imagine in Africa, we only have 20,000 lions left. Imagine after the 20,000 left in Africa, only 6 countries in Africa have lion populations more than 1,000. And Kenya being one of them, with about 2,500 lions in the entire nation. In northern Kenya, where we work, we have about 50 lions that we are currently following up and monitoring. And this is 50 is like a small number, but this is very critical and a very significant lion population, given that we only have about 2,500 lions. And remember, in Kenya, 70% of all wildlife and 50% of all lions are actually living outside protected areas. Imagine that. In northern Kenya, where we work, the communities here are mostly semi-nomadic. They are the Samburus, they are the Turkanas, they are the Boranas. Livestock forms their livelihood. Livestock is very, very important to them. Livestock forms part of their traditions and who they are. Livestock, as Jeneria family usually say it, livestock is their banks for these communities. But northern Kenya is very dry. Northern Kenya is a very arid area. And with climate change, everything is getting harder and harder. We have severe land degradation, we have frequent droughts, we have lack of rains most of the time, and this is making communities to suffer. Livestock are suffering. Livestock are struggling to find food. They are struggling to find food, not just the wildlife, but not just the livestock, but wildlife are also struggling to find food. Lions too are struggling to find food. And this often leads to cases in which lions will go after the livestock simply because their food lacks food. And this, more often than not, leads to conflict. And understandably, the community will get angry and go after the lions. We started like a number of programs to address these challenges.
Yeah, thank you. As Toby mentioned, I started the Warrior Watch program back in 2010 to actually resolve and see how my community can resolve and can build coexistence and continue coexisting with lions. And the warriors play a big role within our society because they're the one moving with their like cattle and goats from one place to another because of the pasture. And they can see what no one could ever see. And I thought doing that, they are the one to go and respond when their cows are killed. And therefore, there is a very important need of having them, involving them into lion conservation. And that is all the concept and my idea of starting the Warrior Watch program. We also monitor the lions through our vehicles because we have very small population and every individual lions means so much to us. And we go out and whenever we see them, we get so excited because in a community area, it's very hard to see lions. But also we need to know each and every lion, just the way we know our cows, our goats, and we need to connect with that. And knowing that, how can we engage more community? And we involve them by drawing the whisker spots so that we know who is that lion and who is that lion. Because whisker spots and earmarks are very distinguished to each and every lion. And that is how we can tell from one lion to another. The warriors also go out very early in the morning before the community release their livestock for grazing, so that to track the lions, to look for the lion tracks, and then follow them and see where they are. And that is the way they can go back to the community when the community starts releasing their livestock for grazing and meet with the herders to avoid those areas where the lions are, or to be more vigilant. And that is how we are building coexistence within our society. But of course, as we move along, as you said from my colleagues, I was very young when I started. I'm too old now. I'm there now. So I need to give this back to another generation because my earlier stage has finished. I'm now, a father, so I need to move to give to another generation. And Kassian is one of the generation that followed me, and that he is the leader of this new generation. We call them the TikTok generation, because Gen Z love phones and all that. So they're very good in another way. So we have a bunch of warriors across our study area and across our landscape that we are monitoring lions with. But of course, having warriors, looking at the Warrior Watch program, there are always those people who have felt that have been, they can do better than warriors. And who are those? They feel like, oh, we have left out.
Well, the group that was feeling very left out of conservation were the Samburu women. And they would come to me and get very annoyed with me and say, Shivani, you're a woman. Why are you only working with Samburu warriors? We want to be involved in lion conservation and we can do a better job than the warriors. And these two amazing ladies you see in the front, in the middle is Manteli Lal Parasoy, and on her right is Parasoy Lemantan. They came up to our old camp and they would sit at a little termite mound behind my tent waiting for me and Jeneria to arrive. And they would say, we need to be involved because culturally, we believe wildlife belonged to us. Wildlife belonged to the Samburu women, but it was taken away from us. And now we need to bring it back. If we can be involved in lion conservation, we are bringing back wildlife to us. It belongs to us. We were such a small team back then. We had a tiny little budget. We had almost no resources at all. But these ladies were persistent and they said they would keep coming to our old camp and keep coming and sitting at that termite mound. And Jeneria and I spoke to Mantelli and Parasroy and said, start your own program. We will do whatever we can to give you the resources you need to continue to do what you want to do when it comes to conservation. And so you can create what is important to you. And that is how the Mama Simba program started. Mama Simba means mother of lions. We have 21 Mama Simbas now working across Westgate Conservancy under the leadership of our extraordinary Mama Simba manager, Mantelli. And the Mama Simbas came up with their vision. They came up with what they wanted to do to help lions, livestock, and this incredible landscape. They said, we're going to work on habitat recovery. We're going to ensure that lions still have habitat, their prey still have grass and habitat, and our livestock also have enough grass. This area they're in right now is called a lokere, a grassland enclosure. There are a number of amazing partners in the region working on this. The women have created these huge grassland enclosures. Now our Mama Simbas are working to protect 2 of them, amounting to about 10 acres. They plant grass, they dig semicircular bunds, which trap water, allowing grass to grow. They harvest grass seeds and plant them in other places. And it's an extraordinary effort. They call it a cow hospital because sometimes cows that are really sick that cannot keep up with the herds come and they can recover in these grassland enclosures. Zebras and elephants use them at night, and the women are constantly improving and maintaining these enclosures. Look at this next picture. It really shows you the difference between inside this vast grass enclosure compared to outside, which is so degraded and there's not enough grass. This activity is keeping the women so active. They love doing it and they are so passionate about keeping this little piece of grassland heaven intact. We do have a new threat that has crept into northern Kenya, and that is an invasive species. If you look at this picture, it looks like this amazing forest and you think, wow, this is beautiful. It is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. This is one of my favorite places to be in. This is the view from one of our camps about an hour away from our main camp where our warriors live. But all that greenery you see in front of you, unfortunately, is an invasive species. It's called Prosopis juliflora, and in some countries it's known as mesquite. Mesquite is now taking over. And think about how devastating this is. One mesquite tree needs about 40 liters of water a day. And look at that picture. The Ewaso River is dry. Imagine this tree is sucking up the remaining water that people and livestock and wildlife really need. It also stops grass from growing. There's no grass in this thick forested habitat. The lions, interestingly, do like to live in it because they can feel safe in it. But the problem is there's no food for them because there's no grass in the area. And what's more upsetting to even see is this invasive species is displacing a very important indigenous tree, the toothbrush tree. This toothbrush tree is so important for communities. They use it for medicinal purposes, and it is the #1 bush and habitat that lions need in order to stay safe, hide their cubs, and remain hidden during the day, especially throughout this community landscape. Well, the Mama Simbas don't sit back. They are tackling this head on. The toothbrush tree is the dark green bush you can see at the back left of this picture. And right in the front is Menteli and Apese. They are removing an invasive species. They can only do it when it's about 2 meters high. Any bigger and it becomes so challenging for anyone to remove it. The mamas just in the last 2 months have removed at least 500 of these invasive species in a critical area that is so important for lions and other carnivores. They are removing the invasive trees and planting the indigenous trees in those holes. They've been trained on how to do this. It's a new project that they've been working on this year, and the women are not giving up. Every time they see one of these invasive species, they are out there with their machetes and their hoes and their pangas, and they're digging deep to pull out this very long root. It's extraordinary work that the women are doing. This amazing river that's in front of us, unfortunately, it does dry up a lot. In 2009, the river was dry for 10 months that year. It was such a big problem because this is the only source of water for so much of this area in Samburu. South of the river, there's a number of springs, but out here, this river is critical. Every single year now, it dries up. Thankfully, it hasn't dried up for that long a period as it did in 2009. But every year, at least once or twice a year, it will be dry for a few weeks, sometimes a few months. You can see in this little video, elephants are out there digging water holes. But we got to see something I'd never seen before. In fact, most of us had not seen this before. This was a couple of years ago. We got to see Loigopa, and he actually was out in the main river looking for water. And it was getting dark, so the video is a little bit grainy. But look at this. Loigopa was actually digging for water. We'd not seen this before. And this is because he had no choice. There was really no water anywhere else. The Mama Simbas saw this. They saw this video of Loigopa digging for water, and they were horrified. They were so upset. They said, we can't let this happen. How can animals keep digging for water when this is so much of what's happening is human related? Well, this is a big part of what they do now. They do a lot of water management. They're digging water holes for livestock during the day and wildlife at night. And every single time the river dries up, the women are the first responders. They will work with our park authorities to make sure holes inside Samburu National Reserves have been dug. And also they'll make sure that the area along the river in Westgate Conservancy has enough holes. These women are unstoppable. And under this incredible woman's leadership, Menteli Lalparasoi, she is absolutely unstoppable. She started with us when she was very young. And a few years when she was working in Mama Simba, she came to me and she said, you can't be the only woman driving around. Why can't I drive? Nothing is stopping me from driving. And a very beautiful story. I'm going to make it short. We taught Menteli how to drive. We taught her on the local airstrip not far from our camp. And then she had to go to driving school, which is quite far away, 4 hours away in Nanyuki. She hated it. It was so cold because it's near Mount Kenya. She had no friends, no family, but she stuck it out. She persevered. She learned how to drive in a language that she didn't even really speak in at that time. She was learning in Kiswahili. She only could speak a little bit of Kiswahili, no English. And she learned and she got her driving test. She passed her driving test. We surprised her with a little brown Suzuki vehicle, which she drove for about 5 years. And then a couple of years ago, the Mama Simbas made me laugh so much. They have this beautiful Mama Simba song. And suddenly the song changed. And I kept asking the ladies, what's in your song? It's like the wording has changed. And they said, yes, we've added a sentence in our Mama Simba song. The new sentence is, Shivani, our car's too small. We need a bigger one. I got the hint. And a couple of years later, we were able to raise enough funds to get a beautiful big Land Cruiser for Menteli and the Mama Simbas. And this is made them do so much more. It's truly extraordinary how much more they've been able to do with their bigger car. Mintelli is an inspiration to so many. She has really shown how the impossible is so possible. There is someone else who has been an inspiration to us all. We've had many inspiring individuals in our project. Here is the next person who inspired us to start a whole new program. This is Kura, our dog here in camp. Kura came into our lives about 13 years ago. And he was lost and limping. His welfare was not good. He was really hungry. And with 3 months of attention and veterinary care, Kura transformed into an alert, vigilant dog he spent all his time protecting us. That inspired us to start a whole new program, which is called Kura's Pride. And Kura's Pride is all about improving the welfare of domestic animals. Things are getting more challenging here. Domestic animals, dogs, and communities and wildlife are all coming into smaller areas. When this happens, unfortunately, there is disease transmission that happens. And we have seen a lot of wildlife, and domestic animals really suffer from rabies and distemper. This picture was not taken here in Samburu. This was taken in Tanzania, where a dog with rabies was attacking a lion. This lion fortunately got treatment and was able to survive. But this is a deadly disease. Kenya loses about 2,000 people to rabies every single year. And distemper wiped out our critical endangered wild dog population many times in the last decade. We had to do something. We now have a mobile veterinary unit, and the veterinary unit is out there every day treating and vaccinating dogs and cats against rabies and distemper. The veterinary unit is also out helping animals that have been attacked by wildlife. Camels, donkeys are often attacked by lions or hyenas, and we were never able to do anything about that in the past because we didn't have a veterinarian on staff. Thanks to our partners, we now have a vet on staff, and he goes out there and he helps all the animals that have been affected by injuries caused by wildlife. We're also doing a lot of population management. That is the number one thing communities want. They want that service provided. And we do a lot of spaying and neutering throughout the area and a lot of education and awareness. We have an amazing film on how to improve the welfare of domestic dogs. We found that it was so essential that whilst we improve the welfare of domestic dogs, because they play such a key role and have such a value amongst the community, especially when it comes to livestock herding, we felt it was really important to involve these young wildlife champions, the livestock herders, because they play such a key role in conservation. Yet, the reality is most young Kenyan children have very limited exposure to conservation. Entering that world of conservation feels like a very foreign concept. To hear more about this, listen to Toby's journey into how he got into conservation and learn more about what we are doing with young Kenyan children up here in northern Kenya.
I got into the field of conservation by accident. Growing up as a child, I didn't know about conservation. I didn't know about challenges the wildlife and the communities living with this wildlife are facing. Yet in Kenya, we are so blessed to be with lots of wildlife, like in the entire nation. And this is the reality many children are facing in Kenya. Imagine living in such a beautiful landscape with lots of wildlife, including lion. But the only stories you hear, the only stories you get to experience are the negative stories in which a lion or a leopard will pop up from the bush, snatch away that one thing that you and your community and your family hold so much dearly in their hearts, and that is their livestock. That was the start of this a beautiful program called Lion Kids Camp. Why? And the reason was to give positive stories about lions to these young children, to give positive stories to these young, amazing, beautiful children, especially the others, since most of the time they are spending their time like in the bushes looking after, taking care after their livestock, their community livestock, their family livestock. And yet it is them who most of the time doesn't have like the positive experience. And how do we do this? We do this by through a kids camp where like we organize for lectures from leaders, from champions that are working in the field of conservation, such as Moses Lombardoni here, who's the park ranger, who's the park warden, giving out the talk to some of the kids that we had for the kids camp, telling them, talking to them about conservation, talking to them about wildlife, and talking to them about some of the things that you can do in order to promote coexistence within this landscape. We also do this by the conservation game, this immersive game in which gives the children an opportunity to immerse themselves as lions moving through the landscape, trying to figure out which places, how do they get from one place to the next one? How do they get from, how do they get water? How do they get their food within the landscape? By this, we are creating empathy for the lions. And we have seen this, in which after engaging the lions, now the kids, not the lions, but after engaging the children, they start to think as lions. They start to think, you as a lion, what do you need within the landscape? How do you get from this place to that place without causing much trouble to the community or to them? And this we have seen work so far. We have had more than 1,000 kids go through this program. You know, we've seen the kids' attitude, like the smiles they have after these programs, so beautiful. And that is best demonstrated by Lekasian. Lekasian first came to the first kids camp he ever had, and I think he loved it so much that he went back, changed his name so that he could get like a second opportunity to come for the kids camp. And that was not the end of it. He did that again the second time. And after Jeneria and Shivani noticing that they decided that we needed to do something about this. We needed to engage this child who was like so passionate about lions, who was so passionate about conservation. And in our 10th anniversary, when we were celebrating all the work that we did as Ewaso Lands a few years ago, we invited Lekasian, and he gave this beautiful speech about conservation, and how kids camp had changed his life in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. And that's again when we realized we needed to engage this kid more and more. And right now, Lekasian is the head of the new generation of warriors that we are having here, and he's doing like such an amazing work. You know? And since this is working, we thought of like scaling this up. Okay, and we started doing this by partnering with Samburu National Reserve together with the county government of Samburu in trying to figure out what are some of the ways in which can work with our partners to scale up this beautiful program that is engaging the herders, not just the herders, but also the school-going children in trying to bring them into the conservation work. And soon we have plans to upgrade our camp. And this camp soon will have like a permanent base where not just the kids camp, but also the community can come so that you can share stories, you can share insights in addressing the new challenges that keep on coming up in this dynamic landscape. And to address some of these challenges, and in the recent years, we have been having like so new challenges, and Jeneria is here to talk to about some of the new challenges that we are facing recently.
Right, back again. Of course, as I said earlier, that my community, pastoralist community, that mainly known for keeping cows. So cows was everything to them. And of course, by then, there was no value of the rain, like at the moment. At the moment, we experience the worst drought, almost the whole year drought without, rain. And of course, as we live alongside each other as ethnic groups, so we live alongside the Rendile community, which is very adjacent to us, and we have also intermarried with each other. And moving along, and with this climate change, the rivers are drying, the grass are disappearing, our livestock completely dying. So people are left almost with nothing. But those few people, community members own camels, they survived better during the dry season than the one had a lot of cows, because all the cows had died. So of course the community has to change their way of living, their way of their practicing the pastoralist community. They have to change from cows to camels. So everyone is trading now. So camels become so valuable to our community, because when they are lactating, when they have milk, you can milk 3 days, 3 times a day, and you can have a whole year with milk. And of course, selling them as well becomes so demandable because everyone is looking, so the price has to go up. And on top of that, our county government start looking and say, okay, we need to improve, we need to support community during the poverty. And the camels are very well known as a desert animals. They can survive better in the hot, dry lands, and they are browsers, and they can walk long distances searching for water or food. And that is why the community has to change. And because we are working with our community, most of my community here have never owned a camel. And we have to do something. And that is when we realize now, there's less conflict. Like before, when we started the Warrior Watch program to resolve the human-wildlife conflict with the cows, now it is the camels. And apparently the camels, they must have come, I don't know where there's no threat. They can't recognize it's day-night. They can just graze the whole day, the whole night. They walk like elephant. There's no fear. They can break fences. So no one had an idea on how to keep camels. So we had to go to, and yet the predation of camels with lions becomes so high. And of course, community gets so mad and so frustrated because the camels are very close to also young children, because anytime they come, of course, they have milk to give their children. So we have to do something because lions killing them many times. We have to take my community to the Rendile community, where the camels, we believe they are originated. Camels were originated in Somalia, and then of course, those are their ancestors, the Rendile community, and of course, that is where the camels aspect and all the norms of keeping camels and hiding them techniques is from. So we had to go, and our trip was so long, up to the middle of the night, because we have to bring the community together to really understand what is about the camels. How can we hide it properly? Because moving forward now, the community has changed from cows to camels, and we have to find a way how to build that coexistence now between the community and the lions. Here is Tisa Laparasho, is one of the elder that we took to that safari. He has never owned a camel, but since last year, he started looking for camels. But he had no idea how to actually own them. He released them early in the morning like normal, and then they disappear. The lactating one, they leave the baby back at home. The camels disappeared and killed. And since he went there, he said, we wish we knew. Because this, if we transform everyone to these norms and hiding techniques of camels husbandry within our society, we will still maintain our coexistence with lions.
Wow. Everything you've heard in the last couple of minutes, everything that we do as Ewaso Lands is backed up by research and data and technology. One of the key bits of technology and research that has greatly helped us a lot is the GPS-enabled collars that we put on a number of lions. By putting on these collars, we are able to know almost in real time where these lions are. And then we use that information, give back to our warriors, who then go back and inform the community, inform the others of whereabouts of the lions. By doing so, we are able to do things. We are able to prevent the conflict before it happens. We are able to minimize livestock being killed by lions. And also, by doing so, we are able to minimize conflict in the sense that the community will not go after these particular lions after they've killed the livestock. And through this, we've been able to save hundreds and hundreds of livestock. And this over time has therefore increased the tolerance of the community, and now they're more willing to live with the lions. You know, we are in a landscape that is constantly changing, and with that, the government also have got like plans for Northern Kenya in terms of infrastructure development. There's a big mega infrastructure that is coming up in northern Kenya, and this includes building of roads, includes sometime you're going to have like a big railway line coming in, we are going to have pipeline coming in, we are going to have resort cities coming in, and we are going to have some other things like dam cities coming as part of this mega infrastructure development by the government. And yes, development, infrastructure development is all very, very important. But sometimes they come up with some unexpected impacts. Sanapari is one of the young male lions that we had within Buffalo Springs Pride. On the picture on my left, I was taken a day before, on the evening of 11th May. And this was like a very, very important male. He was a male that was taking care of his pride, very young, very, very, very like well known by our team. And that says on the evening of the 11th May, it was last seen by our team, was patrolling the area. But unfortunately, the next day, one of the technicians working with one of our partners, Action for Cheetahs, very early in the morning, spotted Sanapari being eaten by a bus. And that is how we lost this beautiful young male lion. It was sad indeed. But now that leads to the question, what are some of the things that you can do so that we, in order to have infrastructure, in order to have lions, in order to have livestock, and in order to have communities sharing the same space with minimal impacts, given that all those are still very, very important for this particular landscape? And in order to answer this, one of the things that I recently started doing since last year is that I started doing my PhD, and my PhD is going to look into the impacts of infrastructure development like lions on the movement of lions, but not just on the lions, but also on the community. And one beautiful thing that is we expect to come out of it is to bring in communities, bring in all the partners in this landscape, be it the government, the Kenya National Authority, KWS, community members from the conservancies that we are working in, plus other conservation organization partners, to have that discussions, to look into how has this landscape changed? How is this landscape changing? And what are some of the possible futures in the future, changes that we are going to have in the future? And where do we, as partners, as community members, everyone within landscape, where do we want to see Northern Kenya head to? That is the basis of my PhD program, and I'm looking so far to it. I know like beautiful results are going to come out of it. And apart from that, the other thing that we've also been like doing a long time together with our partners is working with the development agencies like the Kenya National Highway Authorities and LAPSSET Corridor Development Authority to try figure out how do we minimize in the short term some of these impacts that we are having on livestock, but also on lions and other wildlife. What are some of the things that you can do now to minimize that? And I can say we've seen success of that. And one of the things that is happening soon, working with Kenya and partner, we are going to have big bumps erected along the highway to kind of like warn the motorists of the lions and other wildlife crossing these particular areas. And also sometime soon, also working with the Kenya, we are going to have like rumble strips installed to at least reduce the speeds of vehicles passing through the highway, more so on areas that we've identified as conflict hotspot, as roadkill hotspot along the highway. And these are some of the successes that working together with our partners, working together with the government, and working together with Kenya, we have actually seen in the last couple of months.
Thank you. Success. Our success is we really thanks to our great team who are dedicated to lion conservation in our region. Also, all our partners, our supporters, they are playing a big role within our lion conservation and the journey we are. And of course, that success have led us to somewhere. Naramat here is our famous lioness that we have in West Gate Community Conservancy. Is the lion that the community knows the most. And every track they see is just Naramat. Whether you have a lion from somewhere, that is just Naramat. And this has shown a big success that coexistence can still continue. And where there used to be no lions, they can actually come back if we really collaborate and work together with our community. Naramat had 3 cubs, and this is actually again grand cubs, which shows that lions can also breed and can raise their cubs within a community area. If community accept and live alongside the lions, we can both coexist and live together in one landscape. And from one lion, that Naramat, and from 11 lions that we started with, we have now a pride of lions within our study area. This is one of the pride, Koitogo Pride in Samburu National Reserve, one of my favorite lioness within the region that has taught me so much and convinced me and changed me that I know lions better than my cows now. And this is also Kalama Pride. This is another pride. So lions can actually live in pride even within a community area. And this is Ngarsis and Tselenge. And I love that little cub. She has survived so hard to survive. You know, surviving in a community area is not very easy. It's not an easy job. So, and this is Lord Kiripa, and this little cub has survived, like actually in the middle of the 2 male lions fighting several times. And this little cub is just like hanging around with it. And saying that all this pride you see here is because of my community. It's continuing living with lions. And this is a true community-led conservation.
Community-led conservation, it's really one of the only solutions we have to this global biodiversity crisis that we are facing. Having people care about animals and make their own decisions about what is best for their land, their wildlife, and their communities. Our communities, as you heard from Jeneria, have so much courage to continue to live alongside lions. And lions have so much courage too to continue to live alongside people. This is true coexistence. Over the past couple of years, we felt it was really important to put our experiences and learnings from the past 15 to 20 years into something of a best practices toolkit. We wanted to share what has worked really well for us and what has not worked, because we feel this is really, as I mentioned, one way that can really help this wildlife situation that so many of us are facing. Together with some amazing partners, we are creating a community-led conservation framework or toolkit. We've been working on this now for the last 2 years, and it's been an amazing process. We spent a long time talking to our communities here. What is their vision for this landscape? What does community-led conservation look like to them? What are some of the barriers to community-led conservation? What are some of the things that we can do to enable it? This was an extraordinary process, and we've put this together, and just in the last 2 weeks, we have the first draft of this framework. We hope it'll be finished by the end of this year, and next year we have some amazing plans. We want to work with a number of different groups, media, government, donors, and students, and really enhance this concept of community-led conservation. We also are planning a huge conference next November 2026. We hope to have a community-led conservation conference in Nairobi, which will be open to anyone. And we're excited to be able to launch the framework then, show everyone what's worked, what hasn't. We're going to have some amazing workshops. It's going to be an extraordinary experience. So many of you have been with us, as I mentioned earlier, right from the beginning. And in August, just last month, I had a real moment. It was somewhere between the 10th and the end of the 10th and the 16th of August. I couldn't believe just how much had taken place within our project just in 1 week alone. And I want to go through these images you can see on our screen, because 10 years ago, 5 years ago, this would not have been possible. I was here in camp. Behind the scenes, so much stuff was happening. Evelyn and Mercy were doing a lot in Nairobi with administration and finance. Toby was in the UK doing his PhD. There was lots going on in camp. And out there, out in the community areas, lots was happening. On the far left, Jeneria was out on his camel learning husbandry tour. He was out with 25 elders learning about better husbandry practices. In the middle of the picture are 3 of our beautiful lions from the Koitagor Pride. Letpukwa was out there with the lion teams, keeping close on those lions. On the right was one of our vets vaccinating a dog during our annual vaccination campaign in Kalama. In the bottom left, we were marking out the boundaries where the new structures for the Lion Kids Camp will be taking place. And on the far right, we had an evaluation of our Mama Simba program. It's something we'd never done before. It's the first time Mama Simba has been evaluated. All this was happening in 1 week. I couldn't believe it. At the end of the week, I sat down and I just thought, it is amazing to see how far Ewaso Lions has gone, how much we've grown from a small project of 4 of us with a budget of $3,000 in 2008 to a team of 62 now and a budget much bigger, $1.5 million. We are doing extraordinary things. We are having great impact. Our lion population has tripled in the last 15 years. And lions, as you heard from Jeneria, are breeding successfully outside protected areas. It is an amazing testament of the work of our team, the community, and our partners. All of this is only possible thanks to so many of you who are on this call today. We are so grateful for your partnership, for your support, for your funding. You keep us going. You have been with us on this Ewaso Lions journey, and we are so, so grateful to all of you. So thank you for being on this Ewaso Lions journey with all of us here in Samburu. Thank you so, so much. Stop. I'm going to hand back to Victoria now. And we have a surprise. We have Manteli, who came she was here. She sort of snuck in whilst we were talking, and here she is. And it's just, she is the amazing lady I was talking about. So if any of you have any Mama Simba questions, she's right here to speak. And Manteli's learning English, and she keeps saying that one day she's going to give a talk on Mama Simba in English. Over to you, Victoria. And yes, happy to answer any questions. Toby's here, Manteli, myself, and Jeneria. Toby, squeeze. Go ahead, Victoria.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shivani, Toby, Jeneria, and Munteli for joining us. It's been really incredible for you guys to share your entire journey from the beginning until where you are right now and the many programs you are taking on. And I've just seen that there are so many claps, there are so many hats, there are so many confettis, there's just so much celebration going on, right? That has been going on since the beginning, so many thumbs up. So just shows you're doing an incredible work, and it's truly, truly inspiring. I have laughed a bit, especially when you said Lekasian, I think, changed his name so many times to join in. I've loved the camel story, the story on Kura, the Lion Kids Camp. That's truly going to be an amazing, amazing things going on up in Northern Kenya. And with the conservation-led conservation model, hopefully we can see it across the entire region and even the entire continent, and even cross over to other continents. And for me, one thing I want to know is, what excites you most about your work? Just brief, just don't go into detail, but what excites each of you about your work?
Seeing lions.
I was going to say that. Definitely for me, seeing lions. And also one more thing, seeing the team grow into who they are. Some of our team members have been with us for so long. Seeing Jeneria become an elder has been amazing. I knew him when he was 19. He's still young in my eyes, but he is officially a Mzee. Watching him, watching Junior, watching Menteli, watching Toby, just watching our team grow into who they are, and that excites me every day. Toby, translate for Menteli.
Like nini inakufurahisha kwa kazi yako kwa ufupi? Kitu moja ama vile.
Yeah.
Jumara anake nalo na community asliga to community. Nama ikasi pokin da to community agana na sisi ngobang na ko na misiang.
Seeing himself going now out to the community and working to the community is something that he have never thought of. And of course, working as these are my wildlife that I'm saving.
Oh, great.
Have you?
And for me, surprisingly, it's something that probably none of them will actually appreciate. But sometimes seeing like all the good work that we do, all the success that we have translated into numbers, that is translated into data. Seeing that to me is one of the things that excites me so much.
He's the data guy. Thanks for that question, Victoria.
Great. So I'll go to the questions, and please feel free to ask any question you have for the panelists on the Q&A section, and then I'll let the panelists know. And I have a question too, rather, from Letizia Kornberg. And she asks, hopefully, how can we, Irina and Letizia, help? Do you need funding for any special projects, Mama Simbas, the vets, the young wildlife warriors? That's the first question.
Thank you, Letitia and Irina. We definitely need funding. It's something. I wait for the day when we don't need funding, but at this point, our programs are growing, our needs are growing, our budget's growing, everything's growing, and we absolutely need funding. She has been pushing us to expand Mama Simba for the last 2 years. Right. We're finally going to do it next year. We wanted to do the evaluation first, which we just completed, and the results will be out in a couple of weeks. It's an extraordinary program that's now been running for over 10 years. It's definitely time to expand Mama Simba. Lion Kids Camp, yes, we have a big vision for that too. As Toby mentioned, we're upgrading the whole camp. We're building in the future, in hopefully a couple of years' time, an education center. And this is going to be open for communities. It's going to be all about culture, conservation, carnivores, communities. It's going to be an extraordinary facility, and that is part of our big plans as well. Kura's Pride at some point needs to expand across the river because dogs are everywhere. They're not only staying here in Westgate, they keep crossing. Dogs from other places are coming in here. It's so important to expand that program as well, to increase our impact, increase the coverage of where the veterinary unit is able to go to. Currently, it's only focusing in Westgate Conservancy, and they are so busy. They have a huge demand here. They're out every day dealing. David and Nicholas are running around every day helping animals, but there's need in other places. So at some point we must grow Kura's Pride as well. So as we grow, we definitely need funding. And this is a message to everyone who's able to support us. We would be so grateful for any support we can receive in our programs.
And just to add like one more thing, one of the things that it's been happening, like it started like small, but now we are growing. We have like about 62 staff members. We still need funds to actually at least take care of them. Because this work is not just about the lions, but it's about the community, it's about everyone. As Jeneria mentioned about that, all these successes has been because of the amazing team that we have. So any support, whatever little be or how big it is, that will actually help us like take care of our team. That will be like so much appreciated.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is hardest to raise funds for. Operational costs, salaries, health insurances, which is absolutely critical here. Fuel, maintenance, our vehicles. I'm pointing at these two. She's the best driver we have. Menteli's the most amazing driver, and she takes care of her car so well. Jeneria covers huge distances. This guy needs a collar on himself because we can never keep track of him. The amount of coverage our vehicles do, we just are constantly looking for support to even just keep our vehicles on the road. So there's lots of needs. Anyway, thank you so much for that question. Back to you, Victoria.
Great. The other question still from Letizia is, will they plan wildlife overpasses or underpasses for the infrastructure of roads and railway? I believe that question goes to you, Toby.
Wow. Oh, that's like a very good question. So at the moment, what we've been like doing or what has happened is that already the road connecting more like central Kenya, going up all the way, connecting us with Ethiopia, has already been built. And when it was built, unfortunately, there wasn't like that much consultation, or there wasn't like that much thought into how to minimize like some of the impacts on wildlife and livestock. So what we've been like doing right now is more like working with the authorities to try and do like some of the small
Short-term.
measures, short-term measures to kind of mitigate on the impacts of the road that is like already built. But we are hopeful to use northern Kenya, to use this highway in northern Kenya as an example, not just to Kenya, but to the entire continent and from also to the entire world, to figure out what are some of the ways in which long-term, in which underpasses can be considered, overpasses can be considered, so that at least to mitigate, to have like both worlds, what we call green infrastructure, in which like development coming in, roads coming in, railways coming in, but then again, every other thing is taken care of, livestock, wildlife, all that. So at the moment, no, but we are hoping that in the long term, in the future, new development, infrastructure development coming up in northern Kenya, all those will have a platform in which all the partners, all the communities, all the government authorities, and even the funders who are funding like this particular development are actually involved, so that at least some of the things that like underpasses can be taken care of, especially given that building an underpass is such costly initiative.
It's a lot of funding.
It's a lot of money like needed for that. Yeah, thank you for that question. Back to you.
Thank you, Toby. And then a question from Elaine French. What prey enable the lions to thrive and avoid eating domestic animals?
Oh, Jeneria?
Wanapenda chakula gani? Simba.
What else?
Warthogs.
What else?
You know, it's different to every part of Kenya because apparently in Masai Mara there's plenty of food, but in here we monitor the solitary lions, and that's the only way they figure out that the only prey we can bring it down or it can be enough for us is actually the small animals like warthogs, imbalas, and all that. It's just now that our lions are becoming to form a big prides. Actually, we are seeing bringing like giraffes, greyfish, and common zebras. So those are the very common food for here. But out here, they seems to be loving the camels as well.
Yeah.
Sadly, camels
Because
became a big
became
prey,
Yeah.
But it's changing. The impact of his camel learning husbandry tours has been so fast. It's just been extraordinary.
But usually joke that they are fast food, like going to KFC or what's that famous brand like in US?
McDonald's.
The McDonald's will be actually going and getting like a warthog. Warthog is more of like their go-to burger.
It's like
That's-
they have gone for warthogs a lot in the
Yeah,
past. And it's because, as Jeneria said, it was enough for one lion. Killing a warthog was good for one lion. Now the prides coming together, our big pride of 11, a warthog is a snack. It's nothing. They'll all have a few bites. So they are going for bigger prey. There's been a change. It's been quite extraordinary just to see the change in this landscape, just as to how not only the lions have come together, but how they also have to alter their diet.
But just to add on that, the big hope is what the Mama Simbas are doing and other stakeholders. Bringing back the grass will ensure that will improve more, herbivores, so that the lions will stop going after the camels or livestock.
Yeah.
So that's a big hope. Dealing with the climate change, dry riverbed, they dig and all that, sharing of all the resources. That's a hope.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. A question from Brenda Razzle. What are Ewaso Lion's other lion conservation projects with other NGOs? Asking because lion migration and genetics.
Okay. So we are part of a group of other lion projects. It's called Pride. And Pride is formed by us and The projects are located in Mozambique, the Niassa Carnival Project, an amazing project run by Colleen Begg and Agostino. And there's also Lion Guardians in southern Kenya, run by Leela and Stephanie. And then there's Lion Landscapes, which operates in Tanzania and Kenya as well. And that's run by Amy and Elaine. And all of us are we share a lot. Everything that works for us, we're constantly sharing with each other. When we're stuck, when we have problems, when we don't know what's going on, we're learning from each other as well. Most importantly for this region, the Laikipia area is where there's an open corridor between Laikipia and Samburu. So there's been many times the lions from Laikipia have moved here, and suddenly we'll see a new group of lions, or sometimes we won't see a lion from here, we'll get in touch with them. It's really important to keep talking to other lion conservation projects, especially when you know there's connectivity and there's movement of lions. So for us, our closest neighbor are the Lion Landscapes team. And then the other projects, it's more of a sharing what works, what doesn't work, and just a great place for us to really support each other. And that is what's so great about Pride.
Yeah.
So those are some of the lion projects that we're very closely working with. We are also a member of the African Lion Working Group, and that's projects all across the continent. There is a great fund called the Lion Recovery Fund. They do amazing support of projects all across Africa, making sure that projects are really well supported to enable the work that's being done. I believe there's a few genetics projects that might be supported by them. So yeah, there's lots of great efforts of lion conservation all across the continent, amazing efforts in our own country, Kenya. Our governments are doing an extraordinary job. There's lion surveys being done all the time, every couple of years. So yes, we're just so grateful to our partners and the Kenya Wildlife Service, the Wildlife Research and Training Institute. Everyone is so invested in lion conservation across our country. It's brilliant to see.
And also locally, like within the region that we're working, we're also part of this forum called the Laikipia Samburu Isiolo forum, in which like different organizations or different researchers, different people working not only just on lions, but also some other carnivores, we come together and do like these quarterly meetings, quarterly workshops to kind of like, since you're working within the same region, like figure out what are some of the things that you can work together since you're like within the same landscape, and how can we synergize on each of like our effort. So then again, that is one of the forum, like a very local forum that we're working in together with Lion Landscape, Action for Cheetahs, Carnivores, all the carnivores, the Bone Free projects like in Meru, the Wild Dogs. We also have a number of ranchers and researchers working from Laikipia. So yeah, that is another example of like ways, all the forums in which like we share our work.
Thank you so much. Looking at the time, and we are past time, but if you would allow us and those who are here with us, there are a bunch of questions that have been shared, and I'll just continue answering them just for the sake of those who've asked. And there's a question from Margaret Valls. She asks, she says, first of all, excellent presentation from all of you, and to see how the community have taken ownership over your landscape. Do you see the young women and men committing to future work to maintain the landscape? It is not easy to work versus a desk job in the cities and town. So yeah, do you see the young women and men committing to future work to maintain the landscape?
Yes.
That's the hope. I think we'll all answer this in different ways. You go first. You go first, Jeneria.
Yes, because apparently, we have a setup of conservancies where they have a board as well within the landscape. So they discuss very common things about grazing patterns, about like something about core areas, how to create small pockets for wildlife. And of course, looking at the Mama Simba now, the work that they're doing. And Mundeli is trying to bring up the young women, to take ownership. You're looking at my generation and then passing on to generation, so that at least we can tackle those new threats and they can take the ownership, because the ownership, the decision making was the one that, everyone was actually playing his own part, but the decision was made above them. So they are now part of that decision. So they are now the one, Mundeli and his group, that the one saying we need grass and we need to show an example. We need an enclosure, that little lokere, we call it lokere, where we can demonstrate to the community that that degraded area can be improved as well. And then looking at the warriors, taking the ownership from the lions they used like to fight and all that to now protecting them. So I really have very strong hope because we have now realized all what we have, our natural resources, our lions is on our hands as a community.
I think just to add to that as well, that's why our Lion Kids Camp is so important. It's focusing on youth, children, and the future education center we hope to build. That will be including children from all across the country. So it is something that gives me a lot of hope. More children that can come, spend time, just be immersed in this landscape gives me a lot of hope for the future. There is something we also really hope to do in the future, and that's to really engage Kenya's youth, not just here in Samburu, but really understand what are their perspectives towards conservation and what is important to them. And this is something we've just started conversations about as a team to see how we might be able to do some surveys with an organization in Nairobi to really understand Kenya's youth's perspective on conservation, because what perspectives are here could be so different to just down the road in Arches Post or Isiolo or Nairobi. It's all so different. If we can understand those perspectives, then we would be able to then speak the language that's needed to bring on board more youth in conservation. This is something, a big vision down the road, and it's something we really hope to do at some point.
And for me to answer that question, I think it's like it's already happening. What's happening, especially now, given that we receive so many emails, so many phone calls from the young people, especially the students, asking how can they be involved? How can be part of Ewaso lands? How can they be part of the conservation? And so I think it's like already happening, but then again, there's still like room to figure out how to engage them more and more.
Kadol na kapan najo korba yau na bukundu busi kolo tongono kunini mete yoro ne yoro wabag ninje no korba na de bata ma de simu na bag conservation ne shunya tangara ke mugatar kol tongono yoro ana e pungo do akela ka tongono pungo.
Mundeli is just adding that the most important is actually to start from the grassroots, from the young generation. So it continues because we don't want conservation to get somewhere and end. Or someone to just disappear and then that's it about it. We need to conserve to see continuous. As the more we go, the more it continues. Because if we start from the young generations, it will continue.
True. Yes, great. Thank you. A question from Easton Ayego. Thank you, Shivani, for the good work you're doing. How can one volunteer with your team on CEPA and fundraising activities?
Volunteer with us to help us fundraise.
I think your team on CEPA and fundraising initiatives.
And I'm trying to figure that out.
No, I'm looking at Toby, hoping he can tell us what CEPA is, but I'm not sure about that. But I can answer the fundraising one. Victoria, maybe you could ask him to expand on CEPA, but just see what he says. But on the fundraising side, absolutely. I mean, I think it would be so amazing to have global champions wherever they are in the world helping to fundraise for Ewaso Lions. And that's possible, hosting events, talking about Ewaso Lions. We have some friends who are watching us today who've gathered a group of people, and I think they're in upstate New York, and they've all come together in one person's house, and they're talking about Ewaso Lions. All that really helps us. That's how people get aware about us and that's how we get support. Every single donation counts. That's one thing I really want to emphasize. No matter how small, it all adds up, because I think a lot of people think, oh, my little donation's not going to have any impact. Every single amount donated comes straight here to Samburu, and it makes a huge difference. And the more champions we have around the world doing that for us, it's just the better. And Easton's welcome to write to us, and we actually have a list of things that we could send to Easton about some of the ways you could fundraise for us remotely and just help spread awareness about Ewaso Lions. So very possible, and of course, we're very grateful for that.
And on the side of, let's say, like research, we're like in the process of trying to figure out more of like an internship or a volunteership program with us. But our focus is going to maybe start locally with like the students and the volunteers from around the area and from around Kenya. But again, it's something that part of a strategic discussion sometime next week figure out, it's coming soon, to figure out how can we start like some other programs that engage, especially the youth or the young people who want to be like involved in conservation, either through volunteership or through internship with us. And given that the nature of Northern Kenya, where it is, it's something that we have to give like a much of thoughts, much of a process, and develop a process that is going to help us both, and also the students or the interns who come, who volunteer to help us.
We get a lot of requests. Almost every week we're getting emails from people wanting to volunteer and intern with us. And our focus is definitely to see what we can do to work with young Kenyans on this. So it is part of our strategy is expiring this year. So next week we're starting our process of reviewing our strategy for 2026 onwards. And this is definitely a key component of that, because it's something we feel is very important, and we're getting a lot of interest and requests for that. I don't know, Victoria, if you were able to find out about CEP.
Yes. Communication, education, participation, and awareness programs.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, so I think hopefully it's pretty much covered about just spreading awareness, talking about what we do. We have great materials. Our website is, thanks to you, Victoria, very well updated. It's got reports, it's got some amazing videos. If you haven't looked at our website, please do. We've got 4 brand new videos on it: Warrior Watch, Mama Simba, Kura's Pride, and Lion Kids Camp. And hopefully next week our new research video will go on that as well. So take a look at our website. There's a lot of great resources. Share, spread the word. Social media, again, the Tony Weil Foundation is helping us with that. So we're trying to get the word out about the work we do. If you don't follow us on social media, please do, at Ewaso Lions on Instagram, Facebook. We are pretty active. And yes, it's a way you can really get to know more about who we are, what we do, and then you can please spread the word and share what we do.
Or simply sometimes you can just send us an email.
Send us an email.
Send an email and we'll answer as soon as possible.
Okay, guys, just a heads up, the questions are quite a bit, so I'll try to get to the ones, and please keep it short. Are any more are any more Mama Simbas driving now?
Oh,
Very kuna mama mwingine wa Mama Simba isipokuwa wewe anaendesha gari.
Nataka nipate ingine.
Nani? Rebecca. We've been talking about this for a while. Menteli's assistant is Rebecca. She's amazing. We're thinking of having Rebecca go to driving school, because sometimes, like, Menteli's been in Nairobi learning English, no one's driving the car, so it'd be great to have someone to support Menteli, and we are thinking about Rebecca. So I think I asked Menteli though the other day, I said, are you going to teach Rebecca? She says, no, I'm too scared, I'm too impatient. And the funny thing is, that was my reply to her. I'm like, I can't teach you, I'm too impatient, but I think we can figure it out. So Rebecca, so stay tuned. I think she will be next. Rebecca, yeah? Yeah.
Great. Janet asks, does the kids camp include both girls as well as boys? Are they working to be Mama Simbas?
Whoa. Yes, the answer is yes, both girls and boys. And we can't say particularly Mama Simba itself, but these are like young children, that again, more just having like kids camp is more like trying to get them into conservation. It's not something that they don't do, but something more of like keep on talking with them, more of like having conversations with them, ways in which they can be involved in conservation, whether they become part of Mama Simba or not, but just having those conversations with them and giving the opportunity to think about it.
Don't look at me to translate that.
All right, so you're saying yes, of course. We will have the Mama Simbas from Lion Kids Camp. We haven't got yet, but we have trained. There are a lot of children, a lot of girls have shown a passion on dogs in the villages. So we're keeping an eye to see who are the next Mama Simbas from Lion Kids Camp, because so many of the Mama Simba's children have also gone to Lion Kids Camp. So they will continue.
amu yiolo chake nena kera peyie pikiyau ineng'ueji kijoki shaake piisaidia yiok toolkasi pookin likiasita amu kore abaki taa entoki nikiponu yiok aifundisha ninche meeta abaki duo orkasi likiasita yiok.
So, and it's just adding that that is the main reason as why we are bringing those kids there, so they can help us within their villages with everything, because we are doing the same work. You can take your child and then they can be a very good component within you, because that is the same work that we are doing together.
Conservation shaake mfundisito abaki yiok ninche paa kore poobulu abaki ninche naa kera iltung'anak ootumo oltung'ani ilkasi oetuo naa kera ake iltung'anak oyiolo maana e conservation etii naake ewueji natii.
So we're trying to bridge the conservation, the word conservation. So whether someone have finished Lion Kids Camp and didn't even go to get work, or didn't go to Mama Simba, or didn't go to Warriors, they can still be part of lion conservation.
We've had a few kids from Lion Kids Camp who are now employed by us, like Cassian, Sedekila, Lucille. There's a few who've joined the Warrior program because they've sort of grown up with us now. Junior is a great story. He was 9 years old, came to our Lion Kids Camp, told Jeneria he wants to be just like him. And now Junior is 23 and about to start a diploma at the Wildlife Research Institute in Naivasha on wildlife management. So a lot of the children who came into Lion Kids Camp, we've followed their journeys, their lives, and they're part of who we are now in so many different ways. Yeah.
Great. There's a question from Sylvia asking how much of an area is important for lions to have to keep genetic diversity? Do they have to travel to Isiolo or Meru or any of the other areas?
Way much beyond that.
Yeah.
Way much beyond that. And I think we like already have like lions that have showed up here. The two males, what do you mean? Was it the one like Lolgeti. We are like examples in which lions have come from far away areas beyond Isiolo, areas like probably far beyond Meru, and areas sometimes suspect like way much up from north to get into where we are. So in terms of size, they need like way much bigger area than where we are working right now. Right now, we are covering an area of like about 4,000 square kilometers, but that in itself is still not enough for lions in order to keep their diversity. So we need more than that. And that's why, again, we keep on like trying to work with some other organizations like Lion Landscape up in Laikipia to kind of at least, and working with the community to kind of at least have like these corridors in which lions can move from where we are to some other places for the sake of genetic spread from one place to the other.
And of course, it depends as well with the females and the dispersing young males. How many groups of lions do you have? So if all these are related, like the one we were showing you, if they are all related here, of course, those young males, they will have to travel from here all the way to Laikipia to look for to take over the other territories and leave their natural prides. So they can actually move quite a distance.
Okay. Thank you so much. There's a question from Jeff and Maurice, which I think you can answer. Will any of you be in SF, I think San Francisco for Expo next month?
Yes.
She's coming.
Thanks for the question, Jeff. I will be there for the Wildlife Conservation Network Expo in a couple of weeks' time. For those of you who don't know WCN, they're an amazing organization. They have a number of conservation partners around the world. We are very grateful and honored to be one of those partners. They're a 501c3, so all our donations go through WCN. They pass through 100% of the donations made. They're an amazing organization that do so much for all the partners through the network. And one of the great things they do is host this amazing event every October. This year, save the dates, it will be on the 3rd and 4th of October. And they have some beautiful events planned. And on the 4th of October, they have a huge expo day where all the partners get a chance to speak about their work. And note this time down, Ewaso Lions will be speaking at 11:30 on the 4th, on the Saturday, the 4th of October, at the Mission Bay Conference Center. So for any of you in San Francisco, please come. Please visit all the conservationists, visit the booths. We have some great things to sell. And it's just such a great day and opportunity to learn about conservation and get to know about all the other partners and the Wildlife Conservation Network. So Jeff, see you there. I will be heading there in a couple of weeks.
And for others, just to clarify, it's 11:30 San Francisco time?
Yes, it's San Francisco
For those who are
time.
not coming
Yes,
from
it'll
up,
be
yeah.
middle of the night
Yeah,
here. In fact, all of us have been. Jeneria was with me there 2 years ago. Toby was there last year. Menteli's been to the expo in San Francisco a few years ago.
Yeah.
So all 4 of us have been, and it's always a highlight for us because it also gives us the chance to see so many of you and talk about our work, but also meet all the other conservationists who we haven't seen in so long and share and learn from each other. It's such a highlight of the year.
Okay. Hope, Jeff, you'll get to meet Shivani there. Mindy asks, how do you keep the camels from wandering? Like stop lions from killing them? Jeneria.
That must
Travel
be the
ban.
right, but that's the hardest question.
It's very hard. I'm still like Googling where does this animal called the camel come from? Because to us, we are very new to it. From the poverty perspective. So, and we are still, and that's why we are going, to Rendile to really understand, because they're very notorious animals and they're like fearful. They don't have fear, fearless, and they can wander around and they can't recognize when it gets dark. They can't even like cry when you leave one behind. So I'm actually even Googling, I was Googling Australia. Where was this animal come from? Was there no threat? Because it seems like even lion like freezing on the open. They just look like 2 seconds and say, oh, maybe this is just something else. So it's still we're really like just making sure that, okay, advising our community now, they're like dating one because they used to let it go. And because they leave their babies back, and then they will hopefully come 3 times a day to nurse, and then of course like to milk. So we are just trying to seek for harder and put together, and whenever they want to bring it back, they bring it themselves and then they return it themselves. So that's just side of wandering. And then of course, fencing properly, like really fence and be awake, and make sure that there's no one can actually break the fence, because even like sleeping for themselves, even an hyena can eat it, the whole camel just crying, and they will never like wake up. So I'm also like doesn't have a lot of answers, but we are hoping that whoever who knows better or who knows a little, please, I would like to get all the tips
on camel
on
husbandry.
camels.
Yeah, camels are a funny one, but the beauty of all this project that Jeneria started is that we don't have the answers, we never have the answers, but working with the community, working with the others, working with everyone to collectively come up with solutions. And that is the basis of the community-led conservation work that we are doing.
And just, I mean, I don't want to talk too much on this. It's just an amazing new program that's had impact very fast. Jeneria has done 2 trips with 50 elders. We want to do another 50 in the next couple of months. With 100 elders here from Westgate Conservancy, they will then work with all the other elders and talk about camel husbandry. It's such a great, fast impact program. I mean, just Jeneria's story of Tisa, how suddenly he never had camels, now he has camels, and now he's really trying to keep them safe because he knows how. So yeah, there's a lot more to this program. It's new. It's taken us a year to design it and fundraise for it, but there's a lot of impact in such a short time. And just a few weeks ago, in that August week when we had a million things going on, Jeneria texted me one of the evenings when he was out there with the Rendile elders and the Samburu elders, and he texted me and he said, for the first time ever, I believe lions will not get the blame anymore. And that was a huge moment. It's like, wow, these trips are just making the biggest difference. So very excited to see what happens. And yeah, Jeneria's got a busy 2 months ahead of him, getting more plans and more trips together to take more elders up north.
Okay. Okay, there's a question from Ilana. Allow me to just pick one from you, Ilana. And how is the fight against the invasive trees going? are they mostly cleared in your area so the toothbrush can flourish? Yeah.
Ooh, it's new, Elana. The Mama Sembas have been working on they've been working on clearing the it's called Mathenge in Kenya. And they've been doing this for the last 3 months. I would say within the conservation area, most of the how much would you say? This side, yeah. So there's in front of us, next to our camp, there's a small conservation area that the community set up many years ago. And the Mama Simbas have been focusing on this. I would say just looking at how they've removed 500 trees just in the last few months, possibly they've done about 50 to 60%. And that's just in the last couple of months. There's so much more to do because around here it's full. And when it gets to a certain height, there's actually nothing we can do at this point. There needs to be big efforts coming in to remove the bigger trees. The Mama Simbas are working on the smaller trees to stop them from becoming big, but really there needs to be a national effort now to remove Mathenge. It's everywhere. You go to Archer's Post, you drive along the highway, there's such big trees and they're too big for anyone to remove manually. So this is a big project. I would say on our side, yes, we're doing what we can in one small area to keep the conservation area safe because that is the most critical area for lions in the whole of Westgate Conservancy. So we're focusing just here for now. But I would imagine in the next few months, hopefully we'll get close to 80-90% of removal.
Yeah, but just to put like a little bit perspective of this particular invasive species, not only like where we are working in, but something that has been a national disaster for Kenya. There's like a whole county that has been actually, Baringo, has been actually invaded by this particular plant. So it's something that within our government is actually has been indicated or like highlighted or like cleared as a disaster. So it's not just something that we are like working on, but it's something more like a nationwide disaster.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay, there's a question from Freedom who asks, do you face any challenges during the collaring of lions and how do you address them?
Challenges during
Like
the
what?
collaring of lions.
What kind?
Maybe just
Maybe
just
one
talk
of-
about just how hard it is to find.
Oh, one of the maybe to answer that like briefly, one of the challenges that we have is for us to be able to do collaring, it can't just be done with any vet. It has to be a vet that is certified by the Kenyan government, the Kenya Wildlife Service, and a vet who is actually working with the vet. And we are working like a very big landscape. And within this landscape where we are working in Northern Kenya, we only have one mobile vet unit with one vet. Wildlife vet. And sometimes one of the challenges happens is like sometimes we like this year, actually this week, in the next couple of days, we're planning to do collaring. One of the challenges sometimes happens is we have the vet ready and then the lions disappear. Okay. And when we get the lions, the vet is actually busy somewhere else. So in terms of like challenges that we face, that has been like the biggest challenge, which again, having the vet, the mobile vet unit in Northern Kenya, which is like a partnership between Ewaso Lions, Save the Elephants, Grave Zebra Trust, and Kenya Wildlife Service is really helping us like a lot.
I would say one more challenge is the collars themselves. They're expensive. One collar alone costs us $6,000. So it's challenging just to even get a collar, and they come from overseas and stuff. So even before the collar gets here, there's a whole other host of challenges we have to deal with. But yeah, collaring has been challenging, just finding the lions, because the lions you want to collar are the ones in community areas where they only come out at night, they're hiding during the day. We want to really see when they get close to villages. They're also very nervous, so you can't get close to them, and it just takes a lot of skills. I mean, there's really no one better than these guys at how to find a lion and how to like get close enough for the vet to dart. It's a whole operation. I stay away from it. It's too stressful. I stay in camp and I just wait for the text message to say we've collared or we haven't. I can't handle the stress.
And it can take days and days of trying, like days and nights of going out, waiting like the whole night, and then trying again the next day, or sometimes the next month because the lion has disappeared or something like that.
Anything to add, Jeneria?
Nothing is just to say that you don't know how useful and helpful to our community the collars are. to wake up in the morning and look at your phone and saying, before the community releasing their livestock, here is the lion, or be vigilant. The lions have come to your area, so that when before, then they can take a different direction. And that has really, contribute a lot of our effort as well.
Lion
Okay.
collaring saves lions and saves livestock. That's the goal. For us, that's our goal.
Amazing. There's one question I'd like us to answer before we leave or before we end this webinar is, can you say something, a question from Irene, can you say something about the importance of leadership or management skills? Irene,
Oh,
lamb training.
Oh,
Lamb
my
training.
that is my best training I've ever actually got.
Oh, for those who don't know about lamb training, there's this amazing guy called Alan with his team has developed this particular management. It's called leadership and management program. And it's not about the content, but it's about the delivery. We usually joke that for this particular, the way like they've designed their delivery, even if you go into this course and you don't want to, you go like the intentionally, I'm going to this course and I don't want to learn anything. We usually joke that at the end of the day, you learn something whether you like it or not. That's just how impactful or how powerful Alan has actually created or developed like the methodology or like the delivery of this particular program. So LAMP has been like a big thing for us in terms of management and leadership. And we all of us, like we went for it, me and Jeneria, for the first time. And when we came back the next day, we were like, this is something that the whole team, each and every of our team members asked to be part. And therefore, the only person who have done it is Shivani.
I need to do it. That's the plan. I spoke to Alan. I will do it soon. Mantelli started lamb training. She's done it twice. She did it 2 years ago, and she started last week again. Alan, Lavius, and Esther, who are from the team who do the lamb training, were here just a couple of days ago. Mantelli and all the Mama Simbas have started the first module of lamb training. If I had to summarize lamb, because I've seen it from the outside, I have seen our team grow so much from lamb training. They talk about it all the time. They use all the skills on problem solving, on understanding each other's personalities, on just basic leadership and management skills. It's coming up in our work every single day. I can't emphasize enough how, just me from the outside, I've seen what it's done for our team. It's been absolutely extraordinary. And just last week, I went and observed from afar how the training was going with the Mama Simbas. And Alan said, look at that lady. Yesterday, she had her head down and she was really unable to talk. But then suddenly she gained the confidence to start talking. And it was just amazing to see that.
It's one training that I've seen. It gives every community member a chance and to recall himself, I am a leader and I will lead.
I'm a leader, yeah.
So I'm so grateful about it.
Okay. Thank you so much. We will wrap it up from here. We've gone beyond our 1 hour because we had so many beautiful questions. Thank you for everyone who stayed with us until this particular point. It's been a beautiful webinar, and I believe everyone has learned so much from what Ewaso Lions and the entire team is doing in Northern Kenya. So yeah, thank you so much on behalf of Ewaso Lions. I'd like to sincerely thank you for joining us today. And also thank you to Shivani, to Toby, to Jeneria for the lovely presentation, and for Montelli for joining us and being an amazing Mama Simba stakeholder. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, I think that's it from us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
all your questions.
Thank you.
Shaolin. All right.
Okay.
Please feel free to leave.
Can you mute first?